G'day folks. Thought I'd do a little bit of a clip on the water chestnuts. Whether you see it or not will just depend on how exciting it is. I mean, it's not that exciting harvesting a bathtub full of weeds with a couple of chestnuts thrown in. Basically what we had happen this year was a lot of weeds take over the bathtub bed, and because of the nature of the water chestnuts, to try and get in between them all, in between the reeds and pull out the weeds, I was pulling out chestnuts and all sorts of things. So I figured I'd just run them as long as I could, and then yeah, just harvest the corms. Any of the small corms I pretty much will just throw straight in the compost bin. I mean, some of them are minuscule, so there's no point saving them. Anyway, we'll get to it. I'll grab my rice knife and we'll start hacking back these weeds. Well, to begin with, I already started chopping back half of them yesterday. These weeds down in here, they've got little flower heads all over them. Here we go, here's one. These little flower heads contain seeds, so what I'm doing with all of this material is I'm collecting it in a little half barrel over here. What I will be doing with that is adding it to the center of a compost pile that will be constructed in this cage here after I dig out that compost and finish using it, and it'll be right in the center of the pile, so hopefully it'll be hot enough to heat up any of the little corms, if there's corms on the roots. I haven't dug out any yet to have a look, or any of the little seeds from the flower head. So I'll stop babbling on, we'll grab the rice knife and I'll finish off harvesting this green stuff for the compost. Just to give you a bit of a closer look, you can see the amount of grass in there. These thicker brown stalks, that's all the water chestnut reeds. So I'm not expecting a bumper harvest. I can tell you right now, just looking at the way this soil's moving, this is going to come out as one big mat. The roots in there are just phenomenal. That is all coming up. I don't know if you can make it out. There's one big clump. So this is going to be an interesting harvest. That at least gives you some idea of what's happened with the roots in there. They've just totally taken over, so there we go. There's a couple of little chestnuts down in there. So the size of these corms don't look very promising either. Not very large at all. To harvest the water chestnuts, all I pretty much did was work on the top section of the bathtub to begin with, mainly because the roots of the weeds had just matted the first probably 8 inches or 20 centimeters worth together. I cut out sections using the garden knife, placed them on top of the compost screen on the wheelbarrow, and just ran my fingers through the roots as best as I could to pull out all the larger and medium-sized corms. Then I just shook the soil out and then just, shook the sieve, tried to get as much soil out as I could, and picked out the remaining water chestnuts. So the roots and the greenery have just gone aside into a little garden trolley, and I'll work out what to do with them later. Also found loads of these earthworms in the bathtub. I'm not quite sure how they got in there. So it's day number 2 now with the water chestnut harvest, and I just thought I'd show you where I'm up to. This is what I've got left to do. I'm just going to set up the screen, the compost screen over the wheelbarrow, screen the rest of this soil and set it to one side. Still finding loads of these huge earthworms. I've got no idea how they got into the bathtub, but there's loads of them in here. So yesterday the chooks were out and they got a really nice feed from them, so which reminds me, I might go let the girls out. Here chooks. Here chooks. Want a worm? Ow! Finger. Fair decent sized one. Mainly rocks in here. A load of these worms. That looks like it. Unless you want to go through there, Kira, to make sure. Nah. You alright? Cool. Well, that looks like all the decent edible ones. I didn't bother keeping the small ones out of this lot. So there we go, the bathtub's all cleaned out. The soil, the excess soil, is just hiding under some shade cloth over there in a blue barrel, because the chickens would scratch through it for the worms and send it everywhere. Just quickly, this bathtub will be cleaned out in a little while. I'll hose him out. I'm turning this into a little bit of a wicking system for some banana trees and other plants I just want to overwinter in root pouches, so they'll go in there. Banana plants, they're not really trees. So there you go folks, there's the harvest from the base of the bathtub. While, you know, there's a fair few decent sized ones I'd peel. I'll just show you how many I'd use in a curry for Bianca and I. We'd probably use that many, which is a lot more than you'd get in a Chinese dish if you bought a takeaway or a Thai one. I might throw an extra one in just to treat us, but that's pretty much how much we'd use in a meal. While a lot of these are smaller, I will keep them aside because I'll probably end up planning out these smaller ones next season, and if I get desperate, I'll also peel a couple up for a meal. You don't get much out of them and it's very time consuming, but hey, I grew them, I want to eat them. A lot of the really small ones, I'll put a couple in here just to show you. These guys here, I'm not going to worry about keeping them, they're just going to be thrown in with the compost. In fact, I'll do that now. There's no point in keeping them, mainly because I've got so many of these smaller ones that I won't get around to eating. I'll use them to plan out next season. From what I've read and been told by people, it doesn't matter whether you plan out the biggest water chestnut or the smallest one. They don't grow like that. They'll pretty much all grow to size corm wise, depending on the nutrition and the environment they're grown in. So basically I think this year didn't feed the soil up enough. I left a lot of corms in there from last season, so it was very overplanted, and also too, that running grass would have taken a fair bit of nutrient out of there. So yeah, there's any number of reasons as to why we didn't grow the biggest corms this year. But anyway, I'm still pretty chuffed with that. Can't complain, more than a couple of meals worth. So there you go folks, there's a bit of a look at our water chestnut harvest for 2015. They're water chestnuts. You can't eat them. Silly chook. While we got loads of water chestnuts, we didn't exactly get, you know, the largest ones. I mean, these guys here can't really complain. And leave my carrots alone, please. While we didn't get the largest water chestnuts, yeah, we've got more than enough for, you know, a couple of dozen meals easy when we only use a couple at a time. They make nice little crunchy additions to stir fries and curries and that sort of thing. Hopefully we'll be using them a little bit more in salads this year as well, just to add a little bit of a bite. If anyone out there knows a good way to peel these guys, I've been told boiling them and all sorts of things and that didn't work. If anyone's got any tricks of the trade they'd like to share, I'd be, you know, more than appreciative. But yeah, I suppose I'll pretty much will leave it there. If you do have any comments, questions or suggestions about this or any of our other clips, leave a comment in the comment section below, or a question or a suggestion, and I'll get back to you where I can. Other than that, I hope everyone is well and happy, and I shall catch you next clip. Cheers folks. So there goes the truck.